Welcome to the Payday Parlays podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined by always Zane. What's up, Zane?
Dude, what's going on, man? Hey, big weekend. We've caught some fire. With some picks, man.
Yes, we have. I've stuck to soccer, and it hasn't done me wrong yet.
Dude, expand on those picks, Matt. You take the credit, you take the glory. You were the one that pieced them together on Sunday for us, and I think me, you, our guest last week, Justice, all kind of trailed your picks.
Well, actually, my Saturday got started off great with Dortmund and Bayern Munich. I had a parlay, same game parlay, and I had Erling Haaland to score at any time, Bayern Munich on the money line, and over 2.5 goals for plus 336. And it hit. It took a little while for Bayern Munich to get that goal to break the deadlock there, but once they did, it kind of opened the floodgates, and they scored another one very soon after. But the over was hit very soon in that game.
Yeah. It didn't help Haaland going out, claiming injury, potentially some injury, and I think a little bit of the fact they have a huge Champions League match coming up tomorrow, preparing for that, maybe resting him a little bit to make sure they advance. But that was awesome. I didn't play that one. All I did was play Dortmund on a double chance play because I liked the value, and there for a little while I was feeling really good, up 2-0. Unfortunately, unfortunately, like many of my teams lately, blown another big lead. So, but congrats on the picks.
But I can't take all the credit because I also took Juventus to beat Lazio, which was your pick, and I also took Leicester over Brighton, which was also your pick. So I take all the credit, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we had a really decent footy soccer weekend there. I think really the only main one that I missed on was Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. They didn't take care of their business over there, but other than that, it was nice. And then trailed right into Sunday, and we talked about it last weekend. I said Manchester United, Man City derby. I'm not a fan of either team, but the value on Manchester United was there for a double chance play because they played to so many draws so far against the top 5 opponents there in the EPL, the top clubs, and they ended up pulling the win out. I put $30. I felt so good about that when I went $30 in on the double chance there at like plus 420. So it cashed out really nicely. Over $150 cashed out at total, which was really sweet win.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad you were right. As a Manchester United fan, I'm so glad you're right. Manchester's red.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I think you could probably search the clip, but I said at some point the law of averages takes place. Man City will have to draw or lose at some point, and fortunately it happened at the right time for me at least.
And I feel so bad to our guest Justice last week because I said I wasn't going to touch it, so I didn't touch that. I didn't place a single bet on that game, even though the value, I should have took your advice, but I just couldn't do it because I just felt so strong that Man City was in such good form, and there was no way that the Red Devils could pull it off. And I'm so glad I was wrong, but Justice asked for a parlay for that game, and wow, was that just terrible.
Just threw it out there for him and completely wrong.
I'm sorry, Justice.
Oh, yeah, big apology. He had a decent week though too. We shared it on the page, man. He had a big run at some FCS football. It hit a nice 3-game parlay there, so that was cool to see. Just helping us out a little bit.
Yeah, and Jacksonville State helped out. They scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was the last game of his parlay to hit. They made the comeback there in the fourth.
And then our good luck kept rolling right into Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday night was really nice too. NBA All Star bets. Um, I didn't place anything on the skills challenge. Glad I didn't because I wouldn't have picked either of the guys that were in the final there.
Sabonis would have been probably a good pickup. I wish I would have taken him, but I didn't bet on it either, and because he came in second last year, so that would have. And he lost to Bam Adebayo, who obviously wasn't competing this year. So,
Yeah, take the default maybe. Yeah.
but go on, you were killing it.
Yeah. So I stayed away from that, but Steph Curry, heavy favorite, but it was like I think it was plus 120 in the 3-point competition. So even a little over even money if you take him there, and rolled with it. And he had us sweating. Had to win it on the final shot. But knocked it down, clutch moment. And I don't think I've ever celebrated so hard for a 3-point competition since watching the All Star Weekend.
It's what make like sports gambling when you have some money on the game or competition. It just makes it so much more enjoyable to watch because like it gets your adrenaline going and you're like on every single basket made or missed, you're just like sweating a little bit.
And like we always say, betting on a budget. I mean, even just $10, $15 on a bet like that you think is still a pretty safe play overall, still had my heart rate going. So that was cool. And then we rolled it right into some All-Star game picks. And me, you, Justice, kind of in a group chat over the weekend, just posted our picks, and we all were kind of on the same page, going the same direction. And it hit really for all of us.
Yeah, we all had Team LeBron in the over, except me and Justice actually got in on it a little bit earlier than you. So our line was 307.5, and your line was
Exactly 318. I covered by 1 point or 2 points. Final basket.
we. And so in our group chat, we were with the format of the All Star game, knowing that there was a target score and that team of LeBron at the very least was going to score 24 points. We were counting down how many buckets that Team Durant needed to make to cover, which is fun. That's unique to usually what's going on in a basketball game. You're just watching them like and adding them together in your head.
I saw some comments on Twitter that at one point the line for the All Star game got pushed up to like 328 or something for the over under. And people were complaining about it, saying FanDuel was trying to just, trick people into taking the over, not understanding the fourth quarter rule. And then my comeback to that is just know your sports, know what you're betting on, and hit that under hard in that situation if the line's that high or if it's at 330 or whatever it may have been. I didn't physically see that, but there were people on Twitter saying it jumped way up, like unrealistically up to hit the over. Okay, then just hammer the under and take the free money at that point. Just know what you're betting on. Do your homework.
Yeah, I agree with you completely because the way the format is, but it did make the game a lot more enjoyable for that aspect, like counting down like a team's buckets, like it's in there. Oh, he made a three. We only need 2 more points from Team Durant, and then everything else is gravy.
Yeah, and the fact that the game was kind of a blowout anyway, headed to the fourth quarter, it was pretty much settled. You know who was going to win. We felt good that Team LeBron was going to cover, and the only thing to keep the intrigue, the interest there was that countdown to the over under there.
That exactly. It made me watch till the very end.
I
And
think heading into the fourth quarter, though, you needed some hits too as well of some player props. Is that right?
yeah, so I needed Chris Paul to get 4 more points to hit. I had him, Team LeBron with the win, plus Chris Paul with 10 points. And I was really hoping because he had, at that point, 12 assists, 8 rebounds going into the fourth, and 6 points. I was like, Chris Paul, go for the triple double. Point God, please.
Point God, please.
I was hoping. I even tweeted him during the match or during the game, and was just hoping that he was sitting on the bench and just picked up his phone and was like scrolling through Twitter and just somehow I was just like, I want to bring this to his attention that he's really close to a triple double. I don't know if he actually knew how close he was. Though no, he's not gonna read my tweet. So I just fingers crossed, just trying anything to win that money.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, but overall though, for the whole day, especially I think for me on Sunday, for you really the whole weekend, pretty solid overall.
Yeah, and the All Star game, sticking with it. Like I also had Damian Lillard, 15 plus 15 points. I think Justice had that one as well, and we got that one pretty early.
Yeah, smashed it.
In the threes.
How about him and Steph Curry trading those pretty much half court threes to end the quarter or going into the half, I believe is when that happened.
Yeah, and then Dame just to finish off the game and just Damian Lillard fashion. Like it was just kind of like just perfect, like chef's kiss.
I agree with that. We could stay on NBA for a little bit. I mean, obviously we're still in All-Star break, so tonight's Monday night. No games tonight, no games tomorrow. I think we get started again on Wednesday with 2 games. But Thursday night's really when full slate kind of kicks back in for NBA. 2 big games coming up out of that. Suns, Trailblazers for the late night 10 o'clock game. And I believe Celtics, 76ers at 7:30. You got any thoughts on those two coming up out of the All-Star break?
It really for the first game, the Celtics and the 76ers, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons weren't allowed to play in the All-Star game due to contact tracing. It kind of depends on when they'll be back. If neither one of them play, I don't know what. I know that when Joel Embiid doesn't play, that Philadelphia has a pretty bad record. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it is a pretty bad losing record. If him and Ben Simmons aren't playing, roll with the Celtics and probably take the points or not take the points, but whatever the spread is, take the Celtics minus whatever because I don't see the 76ers having a shot if that's the case.
Do you think the 76ers would even be in that position where the Celtics are getting the minus line, though? I think potentially if one or the other plays, they may. I would assume they come back about the same time frame, unless pending some positive test results or something. Even with them out, would Celtics then go into as the favorite on the betting odds? Do you think they hold as the 76ers as the favorite, and then obviously Celtics value would be really nice play there too?
I think a lot of people just with how the Celtics finished going into the All-Star break with beating the Raptors. I think people think that they're kind of starting to steady themselves back out after that little bump in the road they had. And so I do think if either one of them are out, that Celtics are going to be the favorite. I don't see how you couldn't, especially if it's Joel Embiid, I don't see how you can't have them as the favorite in that matchup. But that might be good value on the 76ers at that point if it's a large enough spread. If say Ben Simmons, like say Joel Embiid doesn't, but with it being contact tracing, I think they'll have to come back at the same time probably.
I would think so too. Suns Trailblazers to follow them. We just talked about some Dame time here, finishing off the All-Star game, maybe rolling in with some momentum to start the second half of the season. I think the Suns may be overlooked in that one, to be honest. Suns, I think, really have a chance. I think they have a chance to take a push for the division, to win the division.
I think the Suns are one of the best teams in the West. I agree. Will Devin Booker be back? See, with these injuries and the COVID stuff, that's what's making it a little.
It's hard also true.
No. I would wait until Thursday to make my decision on gambling in these games.
I'll wait till Thursday at 7:15, 7:20 for Celtics 76ers and
Just pray to God
9:45.
that no one else gets in the health and safety protocols because, like we've talked about before, they might just get yanked in the middle of the game.
Jerked after a few minutes in the first quarter. It changes your whole outlook for the game. Yep.
Which is
I
kind of, for a wider point, just to digress just for a second, FanDuel should have a COVID insurance. I think all of them should have COVID insurance. Like if something like that weird happens in a game, that you should just get your money back and nobody.
just call
Yeah, exactly.
no wins, no losses, but the people who took the underdogs there and get advantage, they're going to be pretty upset with that rule.
That's true. Maybe just COVID insurance. So, like, if you lose money on it, you get it. If you win, I mean, I know that they'd be taking a loss, but that would be the right thing to do.
Sticking to the hardwood this week, conference tournaments. Some of them are starting to wrap up tonight. We've had a couple already champions crowns in some mid-major tournaments. The powerhouse tournaments start. Some of them kick off tomorrow. And I should say tip off, not kick off. What am I talking about there? But we have, I mean, you want to go through maybe some favorites that you have for these conference tournaments?
Go through each of the Power 5 conferences, like at least the Power 5, and just kind of go through and our picks for each one.
Okay, that sounds good.
We can just start alphabetically, and let's go with the ACC.
ACC.
So,
as many of you all know, Matt and I both are going to try not to be homers on this one. We're gonna try to think without our preferences, but you have to mention the Virginia Tech Hokies. They are coming out of a COVID break, but this time they were able to practice more, according to your news that we discussed kind of before. The difference between this COVID break and the previous one they had kind of leading up to Georgia Tech was they weren't really able to practice at all. So this time they were able to stay in form, even though these games have been postponed, and they are fresh. They're pretty much 100% healthy, full squad back. Tyrese Radford's back for the first time in a long time. You have to think the Hokies have a chance to take the ACC tournament crown with the way the ACC has been this year.
I do think that they have a shot, and they are a 3 seed, so it's not like it'd be coming out of nowhere. Their path, where they are located, like where they're situated in the bracket, is pretty difficult. The chances are they're probably going to play UNC, who's playing. We were talking before, a lot of people are saying that they're playing good right now, but they're kind of still inconsistent. I don't necessarily know if they're playing good. They beat Duke really bad, where they could miss a single shot, but this is the same team that could also shoot like sub 20% from 3 in a game. So, like, is it more of a blip that they shoot terribly, or is it more of a blip that they didn't miss Saturday? And then also on their side of the bracket is Louisville and Florida State. So they're in the tougher side. That would be the only thing to not be leaning towards Tech in my book. And as much as I hate to say it, I think UVA, where they're located, I think they got a pretty easy path to the Final Four and possibly the championship, because the big team that's in their side, who is playing well right now, but is Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech has been surprisingly well kind of down the stretch.
I think they're 6-game winning streak.
Yeah, I could double check that if needed, but like the UNC craze, I don't understand it from a logical thinking standpoint. You beat a Duke team that has lost 3 straight. I mean, you're looking at UNC, who not long ago just got blown out in a non-conference game to a sub-500 Marquette team who wasn't very good, kind of up and down. Got upset. I don't know if you want to call it an upset, but got beat kind of handedly against Syracuse. Syracuse really controlled the majority of that game after taking the lead about midway through the first half, if I'm not mistaken, last week. So I don't understand the craze behind the UNC talk at the moment, or even the fact that some people, some analysts are potentially putting them in a spot to be ranked higher than Virginia Tech in seeding after it's all said and done?
I think they're more looking at it and thinking. A lot of people are thinking with Tech just not have been playing for. They've only played 2 games in 34 days. I think I saw, and
Yeah.
so I think a lot of people are just looking at that and thinking that Virginia Tech's going to come out rusty and they're going to lose to UNC. But I I really hope that Tech as a fan just kills UNC. I just really hope it just sends a message to everyone like, no, we're the legit 3rd seed in this conference. We beat the ACC champions pretty handedly. However, I still don't think I would pick Tech to win the ACC championship. I'm leaning more towards Florida State as much as I don't really. I just think I know that they've struggled. They're like 2 different teams. When they're home, they kill everybody, and then when they're on the road, a little interesting thing though is Florida State's in Florida, obviously, and they're not in Miami. They're in Tallahassee, so they're not in a pretty hot. They weren't in a big COVID, so they've had fans pretty much all year, and it's been like almost a full stadium. And then when they go on the road, they're playing empty gyms. There will be fans in Greensboro. So that's my little.
That could be the difference maker
I think that might
for
be.
Florida State.
And Florida State basketball doesn't travel too bad.
I like it. I mean, I agree, though. I want to talk about the Hokies just because I want to be glass half full type of mentality. The rest is going to pay off. They've been able to practice for a few days, but with no physical play, they're healthy, no injuries, no nicks, no bumps going into tournament play. Hopefully it pays off for them, but I don't know if I fully have bought in that they could win it yet. But I'll stick to my pick. I'll say Hokies are going to take the ACC title. You can take Florida State.
I'll take Florida State, but I will take Virginia Tech over UNC.
That's fair. Hopefully we get that matchup.
And with them practicing, we were talking before the podcast, and I think this is a pretty valid point. Virginia Tech has played Wake Forest twice, Notre Dame twice, and they haven't played UNC. They can take all their practice time and prepare for just UNC right now because they already have a game plan that's worked against Notre Dame and against Wake Forest. They've done it 2 different ways, and so they'll probably want to try something similar as what they did in those matchups if they do face Wake Forest or Notre Dame, which are small possibilities, but chances are it's going to be UNC. Where UNC has to focus, they can't be focusing on Virginia Tech. They got to be focusing on either Notre Dame or Wake Forest. So Virginia Tech's going to have more time prepping for an opponent.
I like it. All right, where are we off to next?
Well, I know I said alphabetical order, but I'm just going to move geographically now. We're going to just go right into the SEC.
SEC, man. To be honest, I haven't had my eyes on a lot of SEC basketball this year. Usually your big draw, your big ticket viewership is Kentucky basketball. Obviously, them being down, it's kind of took away from some of the talk about the SEC. I think as a conference as a whole, in my opinion, and it's not really in dominant news trends talking about leading up to March. You haven't heard much about the SEC tournament or the importance of it.
Yeah, and I think Alabama. I think that's pretty much my pick, and I don't know.
Yeah, a quick brush over. I like Arkansas. Arkansas is sneaky. They would be an alternative to Alabama. I do like Alabama though overall, but I just for the sake of a alternative there, pick off of yours. Arkansas has been playing really well over the past last quarter of the season, so I think they may be on a streak as well here with consecutive games won. Take a look and see.
Do you think Kentucky can get themselves right to win a couple games in a row?
I haven't looked detailed into their path, but like I said, I just haven't been following SEC basketball much. I couldn't really discuss it in too much detail other than the bits I see in highlights and things and looking at score sheets. But Arkansas, they've been on a tear lately, coming down the stretch. I mean, they haven't lost in quite some time. Didn't lose a game in February. The last time they lost was the last time they lost was back in January to Oklahoma State, it looks like. So they're sitting at number 2 seed in the tournament, right behind Alabama. I like Arkansas. I'll take them.
I'll take Alabama, but as my sleeper pick, I guess, since we don't want to just go chalk, uh, I'll take Florida. They're a decent team.
I like it. Yeah, Florida's good. I think they have some inconsistencies, though.
They do, but a lot of teams are inconsistent this year, so it's all about who can get hot at the right time, especially this time of year.
Like you said, you've the last couple of weeks reiterated you're staying away from some college basketball picks. It's been extremely difficult to navigate too. I mean, at what point do we cycle out of this COVID stuff and able to actually maybe pick with a little bit more, not with a little bit more confidence behind it, so to speak?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
But moving from the SEC, we'll just geographically keep it in the South. We'll go to Big 12.
Big 12. Gosh, surely not all of these could be chalk, but once again, Baylor. 1 loss on the season.
I'm going to go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say 1 loss on the season for Baylor. That loss kind of happened because they weren't as healthy. It really affected their defensive play in that match, in that game. And Baylor has turned it around since that 1 loss. They've gotten a bit healthier. They've gotten a bit deeper again and recovered from the few injuries they had. So Baylor would have to be a pretty strong play there.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Texas Tech just because I think Chris Beard runs a good program, and I think he gets his teams running right towards the end of the year. And so I think Texas Tech can make a good little run here in the Big 12 tournament. But Baylor is definitely the favorite, but for the sake of having a different team, picking something different, I'm going to go with Texas Tech out of the Big 12.
And, I mean, just to touch on it, you can't sleep the Big 12 is probably one of the most interesting tournaments, I think, coming up, just because of how top-heavy this conference is. I mean, you have Baylor number 2, Kansas ranked 11th, Texas ranked 13th, West Virginia ranked 10th, Oklahoma State with many would argue the best player in the country. If he can get healthy, he rolled his ankle the other night, so we'll see if he's back by the time they play this week. Texas Tech, who's ranked, Oklahoma, who's ranked right inside the top 25. So that's going to be a fun tournament to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to just watch conference tournament and leading into the March Madness, leading into the tournament. If I want to see if some of these teams can just go on a run and win 5 games in a row from worst to first, because it's just one of those crazy years. And with some of the upsets in some of the smaller conference tournaments, it's shortening that bubble on the fringe, because some of these teams that were expected to win their conferences are now they lost in their conference tournament. Such like a Villanova. And
I mean, one of those big upsets happened today with Appalachian State winning the Sun Belt today as a 7th or 8th seed in that tournament. So handedly took care of Georgia State.
Exactly, and now you have another team that's going to put themselves into the tournament, and that's going to knock out another spot for those bubble teams. So a lot of these teams that are in that last 4 out are definitely going to have to string together some wins to really impress. So I guess we'll move from the Big 12, and we'll just kind of circle it around. And I think this will be really quick. What do you think about the Pac-12?
Pac-12, Oregon. Oregon's about all I think about it. Oregon, they're entertaining. They're fun to watch. I've stayed up late to watch a few of their West Coast games. Um, haven't tuned in for much Pac-12 basketball, but I'll take Oregon as the pick from the little bit I have watched. I do enjoy. I just enjoy from an entertainment aspect. I enjoy watching that team play.
I'll take Oregon too, just because I also don't watch Pac-12 basketball. I do have a little bit. I think when it comes to basketball, a little bit of an East Coast bias that I don't watch too much on. It's on the West Coast. I like to think during college football season, I pay attention to the West Coast more than most do out here on the East Coast. But not in basketball season. I Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, I think this tournament will come down to chalk, unfortunately. By chalk, I mean your top three. Pac-12 hasn't been nationally competitive this year in basketball overall. You have two teams ranked just right inside the top 25, and that's USC and Colorado. Colorado may be your little value pick there to win the Pac-12 tournament. But I'll stick with the Oregon Ducks.
Moving to the Big Ten, what do you think about the Big Ten tournament?
Dude, Big Ten, that's a fun conference. That's a fun conference. They've probably taken the crown of the top conference in basketball. I think maybe the Big 12 would have something to say about it. ACC has faltered a little bit this year overall. So Big Ten basketball has been just top to bottom in that conference, probably the most competitive. I like the Fighting Illini in the Big Ten. I like Fighting Illini, and I'm split because I also enjoy the Iowa Hawks, and they're hot right now. Iowa Hawks as well. But I'll take the Fighting Illini to win the Big Ten, and Fighting Illini will be in the Final Four. They'll be in the Final Four in the tournament.
I like what you're thinking. The Hawkeyes and Illinois are definitely getting hot right now. I think Michigan is still may be able to make like a little run. I know they just lost to Michigan State, but I think Michigan. I think just the way that they play, that they can really play good defense and can shut teams down, and that's going to be helpful in the tournament when the game slows down a little bit.
They are so long on the perimeter, like just lengthwise, arm span wise. That team is so long on the perimeter. That helps in their defensive style of play. And these guys are athletic as all get out too. So yeah, Michigan absolutely can make a run. To be honest, I thought you were going to go with Michigan as your pick, so that's kind of why I steered it into the Illini. I would almost take. I look forward to seeing bracketology next weekend and seeing how the brackets shape out. But I would almost go on a limb and say two teams from the Big Ten Conference will make the Final Four.
I think it's really going to depend on the matchups because I think this year more than ever, I think it's going to just be styles as well. And I think the tournament, which it's always like this, how does it break? It has to break right for you. But even more so this year, I don't think there's a team, unless maybe Gonzaga be like Villanova a couple of years ago, where they just beat everybody down that was in their path. I think they had an average win close to 20 points that year.
Just dominant. Yeah, just dominant.
I don't see a team doing that, including Gonzaga.
I don't see Gonzaga doing that. And everyone's kind of overlooking Gonzaga. Obviously, they're not in a Power 5 conference, but no one's really talking about them that much. If you turn on ESPN or you turn on Fox Sports and listen to some college basketball talk, no one's really – they're the number one team in the nation, ranked, but kind of flying under the radar a little bit in regards to how far they can go in the tournament coming up too. Yeah. I think they'll easily win the conference. They're dominating. I think St. Mary's tonight. They were up big early, but I don't see too many people talking about them.
I think it's just more of they are out west. They're in Washington, but they're also playing in a conference that just doesn't have a lot of excitement around it. So you're not gonna have. There's not many. They're not playing teams that are on the same level as them, so they're not.
Right.
They're not. There's no excitement. There's no buzz around some of their matchups, so it's kind of hard to get excitement and talk about Gonzaga. And it's like they're gonna win by 30 again tonight.
Makes sense. I mean, I get why they're not in the headlines, but as the tournament approaches, you got to start throwing them around as contenders. I mean, they're going to be a number one seed, right?
Yeah, they'll be the number one overall seed, and they'll do good. I mean, you can almost pencil them in probably into at least the Elite Eight.
Yep.
So, but it'll be interesting. There are lots of teams that, like we talked about, if they can get on a little bit of a run, like a Duke or a Kentucky, if they can win. Could you imagine Duke win the ACC tournament? How crazy that would be.
Yeah. And just hearing that statement, I think, is a little crazy. I hope this doesn't come back to backfire, but no way, no chance, no chance.
I'm just saying. I'm not. If they win,
that's like saying the Tar Heels are going to beat Tech.
We'll see. It should be a good matchup. Tar Heels are big.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll shift gears real quick if you want to, since we ran through the conferences. Taking it back to the pitch to wrap it up for the day, we have Champions League action back this week coming up tomorrow, or I should say today when this finally releases, though. In the afternoon, you have Dortmund and Sevilla in their second leg, and Juventus and Porto, with Juventus trailing but has the key away goal, 2-1 there against Porto, and they're headed to their second leg. Nice little super boost out there on FanDuel for tomorrow. What do you think?
I kind of like the super boost. I don't think. I don't see. I definitely see Porto definitely sitting back. They're going to try not to concede, but Juventus has the Ronaldo factor. Something's going to happen. They'll get a free kick late or something, and he's just going to step up and hit it, or a set piece, or they're going to win a penalty. Something's going to happen.
They just need the draw on aggregate to win, as long as they keep Porto scoreless there. So if they win 1-0, Juventus will advance. Dortmund and Sevilla. Dortmund's up by a goal, coming off the loss there to Bayern over the weekend, which we touched on. I think Dortmund hangs on to pretty confidently in that.
I feel pretty good about that. It will be interesting to see if Haaland, how bad the extent of his injury, if it was just taking him off to be cautious, or if he really hurt himself. I've also heard stuff about him and his teammates. I don't know if you noticed this. That he's not necessarily the best guy in the locker room, and when he was down, it didn't seem like anyone cared. You notice that when watching the match?
I didn't read into that too much, but now that you kind of bring it to the light, it makes a little bit more sense. I mean, you can't say much for the dude though. He's a stud when he's active, when he's on the pitch.
Yeah, interesting, since we had a pretty fun little thing we ended with last time, and I think Dortmund. I think we're both in agreement that Dortmund's probably going to hold on.
I think so too. Yeah, even without Haaland in the lineup, I'll say Dortmund still hangs on.
So fun little thing we can end on. Mbappe or Haaland? Who would you rather sign?
I'm still going to say Mbappe. Mbappe between the two.
I agree. I like Mbappe as well.
We do have Wednesday as well, Champions League doubleheader there again to finish out the week. I don't find these matchups as intriguing unless something happens insanely. Everything goes right for Barcelona against PSG, but they trail the PSG led by Mbappe there 4-1 on aggregate. Want to stick a fork in that one and call it done already, or you think Barcelona can pull some magic, some Messi magic out?
Um, I think I don't know if I'm gonna touch it, but if I was going to bet on it, I almost would take Barcelona double chance of the draw.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. We talked about how these second legs work a lot of times, and PSG being up 4-1. Do you really think they're going to come out attacking and try to put up goals? No, not really. They're going to sit back, try not to concede. Barca may find their way back in it with a goal or two.
Barcelona scored 4 away goals.
Right, but if you're betting on the game just individually as a single leg, you got to like Barcelona to be the favorite there to just win the match overall, but not advance.
Exactly. That's why I was saying I would double chance it just in case PSG sits back and they just don't concede because they just have 11 behind the ball. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense. Definitely would want to look into what the value is, adding in the double chance versus the money line there to make that decision.
Yeah, of course.
Leipzig, Liverpool. Liverpool, we know their struggles. They're dismal at the moment in the EPL. They do hold a 2-0 lead over the German club who sits atop of the Bundesliga still. And Bayern Munich still chasing Leipzig, so I think people are overlooking that aspect. But do we like Liverpool to bounce back? Does Liverpool continue this dismal trend with Leipzig, and Leipzig is able to somehow come back from 2 down in the first leg and advance in this one?
So I don't think that Leipzig can overcome the 2-0 deficit. I think that's all Liverpool's playing for now is Champions League.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to still want to try to finish in the top 4, don't get me wrong, and they're going to continue to try to make a push forward for that. But at the same time, I think that they see that the Champions League is still there for the taking. I mean, you have to at least go for it, and not that they're the favorites to win or by any stretch, but as a team, you have to be like, that's the goal that we're going for right now. And you're already up 2-0, and Liverpool's style of play, they're not necessarily a possession team, so they don't have to be in their best form. They just have to play good defensively, to be honest.
That makes sense. I may have to play Leipzig, to be honest, and just continue with this downtrend of Liverpool after I had said they would finish top 4 in the EPL
I mean,
weeks ago.
single match. I mean, if they win, if Leipzig wins 1-0, it's not inconceivable. That might be something to also look at is maybe Leipzig chance, what the odds of that are.
Yeah, I think Liverpool still probably is going to be sitting as a favorite, as crazy as it sounds, taking the top team in the Bundesliga right now against a team that is falling from the ranks in the EPL. But I do kind of like Leipzig, leaning towards Leipzig in this just single match bets. I could see them pushing Liverpool and making this making it entertaining down the stretch there in that match on Wednesday.
Yeah, it should be fun. We'll see what happens. I kind of like Liverpool in that matchup though. I really do. Like more and more I'm thinking about it. Like right now, I'm just thinking about Leipzig having to press forward, and Mane and Salah, if Salah's playing,
right,
getting forward.
Because Leipzig is going to have to press. They're going to have to hunt for goals just to get back into it. So that is going to leave a lot of opportunity for counterattack and a lot of opportunity for quick breaks where it puts the defense in retreating in bad positions.
we will see. Make sure you guys follow us on social media so you can see our picks on these, because I will definitely have picks, and we try to post them each day before the game starts so you can see what we're betting on. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at paydayparlays.com. Make sure you get our picks on these, because like we said, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So you want to we'll probably have these the day of.
Hopefully, as a team here, Matt, I know we can have different opinions every once in a while, different takes on picks, but hopefully we can continue with it with a little bit of the streak we had going. I think tonight I've dropped off a little bit on some of the daily picks with college basketball and these mid-major tournaments, but to talk about to wrap up with kind of our finale here of conclusion, which is the Payday Parlays Mega Pick Face-Off Championship Series Super Cup Week 2. You did bounce back. You bounced back like you said you were going to do. Like you said you were going to do. Week 2, Matt bet $90. Total payout $131.84. So in the green by $41.84. I bet $100. Used my total budget there. Mainly had to push my total budget just to get back into the green. Really started off poor, but $127.13 was my total payout. So I was also in the green by $27. So 2 weeks in overall, I still hold a narrow lead. But Matt, you did bounce back. So we're 1-1 now.
Yes, we are, and I get to brag about it all week this week. But
yes,
it was interesting. I strategically this week I did a lot of smaller bets. I placed 19 bets this week and went 11-8
compared to my even 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different strategies. These are investments, people. These aren't just luck. These are investments, small investments.
What's important is, though, we're both in the green overall. And if we can continue that, people can follow along with our picks, and hopefully it pays for them too.
Yeah, you can also be in the green.
We hold our breath on that statement. I don't.
But like I was saying, follow us on social media so you can get those picks. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website and sign up for the email subscription at paydayparlays.com. You'll get a notification sent right to your email every single time we post an article. When a new podcast goes up, it will send you a notification to let you know, so that you will be the first to be able to listen or see what we've written or our podcast.
Yeah, send us your picks. Share them with us. We'd love to see what you guys are playing too. You can find that, we had our guest Justice last week chime in on some picks. We've had some other friends reach out and share their payouts with us. So reach out to us. We want to see what you guys are doing. Share it with us before the game starts so we can tell your picks and make some money too.
Exactly. We want to be like a community and let's just all work together
to make some money. Let's go.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up as well. I think we pretty much wrapped it up, Zane.
I like it. We'll see you guys later this week before the weekend.